You're listening to Brazen Exchange.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Brazen Exchange. I'm your host, Vanessa Emadi. Today's guest has over 12 years' experience in journalism and the media industry. She founded the PsNiche Visuals media firm, which is focused on creating awareness on community development and impact in River State. Hello, Prudence.
Hello, Vanessa. Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Brazen. Good morning. Yes, good morning, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm okay. I feel joyful already.
So first off, how is River State? The thing is, whenever I need to get any verified information regarding what is happening in River State, you are my first blog. In fact, my only blog, right? The mainstream media don't carry news about local communities, news happening in local communities. So we depend on your platform, PS Niche Visuals, to do that for us. So you post on your blog, you post on Facebook, you are also on YouTube and you keep informing us. But I don't know why the mainstream media don't bother to carry news like that because those are the stories that make up the communities, right? But before we go into PS Niche Visuals, can you tell us how you got into the media industry?
Okay, that's a very long story. The media industry was in my thick. The thing with us is when we can get into law, the nearest route is journalism. So that's how I got in. When I was trying to, get into law, I couldn't. So my dad felt the only option was to do mass communication. So he took me to the International Institute of Journalism, where I studied journalism. So that's how I got in. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to say it. So that's how I got in and I've stayed in. Yeah, I've not really tried to. Every other thing I've done has always been around media landscape. So I've not even tried to, do anything concerning. Do I have a diploma in law? I can use that for law reviews and the rest of them, but I've not even tried that out. So I've just stayed here.
So why did you decide to stay in journalism? Did you realize that okay, I actually like this place?
I think it's more challenging. That's it. It takes you to places. I am an adventurous person. The flair with law was me trying to correct some ills that I saw around me. Growing up as a child, I felt like I could be a human rights activist, even if then I didn't know what human rights activism was. Okay, but I did a lot of that. I saw myself fighting for house helps mostly. Okay, so that's how this law thing came about. Now, when I got into journalism, I found out that wow, it's even better here. You find lawyers in the field, you find engineers in the field, you find agriculturists in the field. Everybody eats in journalism. So why am I struggling again? I'm in the field already. I think it just feels like this is where destiny wants you to be. This is what is written about pages of pages. Stay here and fulfill destiny. So
Indeed, there's something that they always say a broadcast journalist has to know something about everything. So it makes sense that all these different fields are in journalism and the industry. So, how has it been so far? Your experience, 12 years, that's a very long time. How has that been for you?
challenging, very challenging. I come to this morning on my WhatsApp status and I got a call from my former boss. I worked with her in 2019 and just about the time, I think that was like the most challenging time for me in the media industry. There were threats to my life and I had to stay out. I went away, left the industry entirely, and then went into catering and hotel management because I also have a diploma in catering and hotel management. So I just left media and went into catering and hotel management. But it was in 2020 that I actually started my brand, the PsNiche Visual, because everybody they started talking about me owning a blog in 2014. But I didn't even know what it was about. So when this whole thing started in 2019, People calling me, threatening me, telling me that they were going to kill me, they were going to do this to me, they were going to do that to me. If I don't tell my boss to step down, if I don't tell her to relinquish some positions and all those stuff, saying most times I didn't even know who was calling, but I knew that they were mostly male calling me. And she also confirmed on Wednesday that she got such threats, but she wasn't deterred. She has been in the field, lots of contacts. There's nobody that I want to mention in River State that she doesn't know or that she has not had a contact with before. So it has been challenging and exciting at the same time because you get to meet new people, you get to discover new things, and that is how fight has been. And the most challenging part is when you have to be the final gatekeeper. Because I've worked as an editor, you have to be the final gatekeeper. You have to decide what goes out there. And if anything happens, anything goes wrong, they're coming for you. So that's the most challenging part about this. It's easier to just go to the field, get the news, and bring it. But are you sure to go to bed? That's another part of it. Then the field is also another place. During the 2019 general election, I had an encounter with some security agents who came in contact with a shootout, were almost kidnapped somewhere in River State. And, these are the things to me, the hazard. The hazard is also exciting sometimes. The runs, the guns. And I'm looking forward to more challenging times.
I can't imagine being threatened to leave, like threatened enough that like I leave a job. Imagine what you must have gone through. Like, what were your thoughts at that time? And what exactly were they threatening you for? What was it? You mentioned relinquishing a position. Like, what exactly was that thing that made them to threaten you? And then you being scared for your life now said, please, I have to find something else to do. My life is in danger.
It was the coverage of the House Assembly. Then it used to be like a big thing. So there were people in the establishment who wanted that particular position. I sat down in the editorial meeting and listened to them quarrel for 3 hours. It's something that was supposed to be an editorial meeting turned into a very big quarrel. Everything that day. When I got home in the evening, she called me and said, covered the House of Assembly for me. And that was it. And the next day, somebody was calling me. Madam, don't give you that position. I don't want to see you for House of Assembly. So may I ask and say, if you see me waiting, you go do. At that time, the house was not also sitting. They would say they are sitting tomorrow. Tomorrow people will get there. They won't sit. And then they kept calling me to tell Madam to relinquish that position. Madam, don't collect all the position for this company. Madam, eat the money. Any day I see you, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to kill you. She also confirmed that she had spiritual battles that she fought. Then there were others. I think then health was also a bit. She will just tell you, I want you to handle these bits for me. If it's a bit that brings in good money, she'll just call me and tell me, Prudence, I want you to go and handle this bit for me. You'll be the one handling these things. And these were the bits that these guys wanted. So these were their grievances. And so they were taking it out on me. I know how the media industry works now. Then I felt like, oh, I need to hide. I need to be careful. But right now, with my experience and, if you threaten me, I'll threaten you back.
So when you took that gap, you mentioned going to catering school. And I know that you have other side hustles. So like what other hustles did you get involved in when you took that break from the media?
I didn't go to catering school while I was in the media. I went to catering school while I was in journalism school. While I was waiting for my admission, I was really not doing anything. So I just heard that there was this catering school opposite Hotel Presidential. Okay, so I went there. And when I got there, it was the last day they were actually selling their form, and that was the closing date. I just went to the bank, bought the form, filled it, and submitted. And the next week, I started. After 1 month, I gained admission into journalism school. So I had to do it simultaneously. I didn't want to leave anyone. So that's how I, I ran my diplomas, two diplomas. I got my diplomas in 2014. So between 2012 and 2014, I did kitchen and hotel management on one hand and journalism on the other hand. So while when this thing came up, I felt like I think I have something else to do. Waiting I dey kill myself. Whoa, make I just go practice another thing when I been don't learn. So that's how I, went back to catering and hotel management. But when I got back, I also found that it was also very challenging because the people who know you do not want to pay for anything. They don't want to pay for anything. All right. So they wanted free work because they know you. And I didn't have the patience to wait to grow. Okay. I didn't see it as adventurous for me. Journalism is more adventurous for me. So I went back to journalism, or I came back to journalism. I still do the catering thing on one hand. I outsource, but I make sure I follow up. If I don't like the design, if it's a cake, I have to decide what it is going to be. I decide the content, what goes in. I give you my recipe to use. All right. So that's how I do it for now. It's not something I do regularly. And if you're a difficult client, I just send you to somebody. Right now I don't have the time to do this, but you can use this my contact. You go there if you don't like them, or I tell you to go get whatever it is you want from a fast food.
So tell us, how did you begin PsNiche Visuals? I mentioned earlier how the mainstream media only focuses on what's happening globally, all this national news, but they don't really go to the nitty gritty of what keeps a community going. I think it's even recently we started getting community stories because of the negative news coming from Delta State at the time. So if not for that negative news that came out from Delta State, nobody would hear anything happening in the community. So tell us about PsNiche Visuals.
Okay, so the thing is, first I'll address the issue of the mainstream media. The press freedom day was just last week, and this is one of the things we talked about. All right, so every news is commercial news. That is one thing that the public is not aware of. Every news is commercialized. That is why we don't get community news. Who's going to pay you money for one simple thing in the community? I can't bring it to my editor and say, okay, this story just happened. My editor is going to ask me for money. That is why local news don't go anywhere. And this is the bridge that PsNiche have come to bridge. Okay, it's the gap we're filling up. And so it's a media NGO because we need sponsorship to do that. We need to get to the grassroots. I was at the fishing port last month, and what I saw was not good. The creeks are where we have fields. We have real stories in the creeks. We have more freelancers. There are stringers in this industry. Companies are not paying. There are so many media companies that are not paying. All they are looking for are just stringers. So you get the news and you give it to them. That's all they are looking for. If you have money, it's good for you. If you die while you're trying, it's still good for you to move on to the next person. So that's how we started. We want to, give a voice to the voiceless. We want to reach these people. We want to bring the stories, okay, from the background to the forefront. We want people to hear these stories. Right now, we're looking at the blue economy, but the people who are at the center of the blue economy are marginalized. Okay, they don't even know what is happening. The moment the big media sees that someone is doing this thing, that's when they will all rush. That's when they will all want to go there. That's when they will all start. And they already have the audience. They have the audience, they have the contact, they have the finance to do this thing. But they will never take the initiative to do it until small PsNiche starts doing it. The moment they see it on BBC or somewhere, so something like this is existing, so we can actually do this. That's when they'll start doing it. But for now, because no big media has carried it, no big media is looking at this thing, nobody is sponsoring it. They won't sponsor it. If you bring the story, they'll tell you to pay for it. Or otherwise they'll trade out. I've had confrontations like that where my editors have thrown my stories into the bin because I didn't give them money. Yes, I dash you that one for free. And especially, let's say we'll finally find out who the representative of a particular community is, and we'll find out that he's actually not doing any community projects. And maybe this man, they are looking for one favor from him, or he has done a favor for them before, and they're bringing this thing. This thing is going to put a dent on his public image. Your editor will trash that news. They will trash that story. It's not going to fly. So that's how the media world it's aggressive.
And then there is you now speaking truth to power, telling the people what exactly is happening, bringing the story that's happening in River State to our faces. Let us know, okay, this is what's happening in the community. Sometimes the roads are bad, because I go on your YouTube page and I see all those documentaries that you show. So the streets are not properly cleaned. Things needs to be done. Flooding. You capture those moments, and these are moments that mainstream media don't capture. We're talking about brown envelope journalism and how that is affecting what the media is pushing out. So, can you please expand more on that?
The brown envelope is that you have to pay for every story. It's a syndrome. It's not just in River State alone. It's in Nigeria. I think if we look closely, we'll find out that it's also in almost every country in the world. They'll pay staff and the rest of them. So you must wait to collect money. And especially if you're a freelancer. Okay, they'll tell you to do your thing, make your moves. If you're a freelancer, that's another problem because you're not getting paid. So you must take the brown envelope. I like what the is it ICRR is doing. If they send their people out, you're not even expected to take water from anyone because they fund you very well, and they get funding from the public. So it's also like a media NGO. It thrives on public funds, and they are doing a lot of grassroots work. I know I accompanied one of their staff as a tour guide in, I think in 2022 or so. Yeah, when we had to look at the flood reading areas in Orashi. We went around Orashi. We saw these people. We saw how much they've suffered. And then when we got to the local government to get data, get statistics, and all, we were offered water. She said she wasn't going to drink because they are monitoring her. So that's one medium that is doing something in the grassroots that I really like, but they get funding from the public. But for other big mediums, okay, that are already established, they already have the money. You will still need to pay for a particular story. Every story is paid for. All stories are commercial stories. Someone did something last year, December. He did a GoFundMe. He's into um, solar installation. So he did a GoFundMe. They went somewhere to see a colleague that had an accident. And where he was staying in his village, where he had the accident, where they were treating him, was a maternity that had no light. So he just decided to do a GoFundMe. And luckily it worked. And he said he noticed that there were so many other maternities around different communities that did not have light, and these people treat people. They felt they are like the major health facilities in this community, and they have no light. So he just they go fund me and decided to install free solar panels for them, and they said, oh, come and do this story for me, let people see, maybe by this we're going to have more goodwill. Went down, we did that story, and I told you that you have to pay for it. Because if Business Day is going to carry this story, you have to pay for it. If Guardian will carry it, you pay for it. And these are the people who want to carry these stories because they have the audience, they have the people. People will read and people will see and people will know. He said, no, it's a GoFundMe, it's a good story, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you will pay for it. For this your GoFundMe, you have to pay for it. And he paid for it. So published it in 4 different news outlets. And it was a paid for story. Now, what he did was a good, yes, it was a volunteer job, right? But he had to pay for it to go on air for people to see, to know that there are communities in Nigeria that have no light and no good medical facilities to cater for their people. But he has to pay for that particular story.
What do you think has resulted in people having to pay? Because I remember when I was writing my articles and I needed to pay to get it on top tier like tier one platforms. I needed to pay to, and I'm like, but these are good stories. These are things that people need to know and read about. These are like this is something that will be of value not just to me but to your platform, right? Like, why can't we just run it based on that? But they were actually asking me to pay for these articles. Even going on TV, you have to pay. So, what do you think has brought this on?
Well, journalism is a trade. It's a case of buying and selling. So I don't know what brought it on. It's here before I came. It's going to be here after I leave. So I don't know what brought it on. And then it's really thriving because Nigeria is a place where corruption thrives so much. All right. So everybody wants to go into journalism. Another thing is the lack of professionalism in the profession. A situation whereby a medical doctor owns a radio station. He doesn't know what happens there, right? And then the person who is heading his radio station is someone who is into marketing. A marketer only knows money. So these are the things. And why is he using a marketer as the head of station? It's because he wants money. He wants to make money. All right. He's not bridging the gap. He's in business. So there are policies, there are laws that we need to look at, all right, for us to be able to address these issues. But we're not looking at those policies because we need money. So journalism is a trade. That's it.
No, I remember a time when I used to write articles and I was sent to media houses and they would publish it for me free. I don't have, I'm not paying shishi. But these days they're asking you for money. So that's why I'm wondering what happened, like what's the decline? I remember being in a session one time and one of the journalists who worked in the print media, he said how people rarely like the print is dying. People are really buying newspapers. So any story that he's bringing, because that session was about spotlighting key stories, niche stories, stories that are not well told, like community stories, really spotlighting those stories. And then they were asking him now, you that you are in the print media, how are you going to help us to push this our mission forward? And then he said people are not reading prints like that. That if he brings even this story to his editor will say, what are they getting out of this thing? Right? Because is it like their space on the newspaper is already limited? Do you now want to now carry this story, put on a page in the newspaper, and then it's not bringing them any money? So he was like, he doesn't know what to do because his hands are tied. He's not the one that has the final say at the end of the day. But then, like, these are stories that need to be told. I think you're telling us we have to pay money for these stories to be told. Like, where do we find the balance? I understand it, like you said, buying and selling, but like, where do we find the balance? There are stories that need to be told. These people might not have money to pay to get this story told. So does that mean that those stories then will just die or go to bed or not go to
No,
bed
the story
instead?
will not die. That's where PsNiche comes in. So the story will not die. So right now we're looking at going into partnership with big organizations. All right. So if we can go into partnerships with bigger organizations, not news media at all, we're niching down to the marine industry. All right. So we're looking at the blue economy. We're looking at coastal lines and safe waters. All right. So all we have to do is look for partners. So if we have partners, sponsors who sponsor our trips down to these places, we'll bring the news out. And when we bring it out, we're going to get international partnerships. We'll have you get global recognition. This is what Africans, are looking for: global partnership. We don't want to do it ourselves. We want the white man to always come and sponsor us. So that's the thing. So right now we're looking for partnership. So if we get partnership from organizations like the NIMASA, the NDDC, these are projects that they should be looking at. But because of corruption, the corruption in the system is not allowing them to look at this. Yes, because they will spend so much money. So the corruption will not allow them to release this money. Otherwise, there are budgets for these things in the ministries.
There
Every
should be,
ministry
yeah.
has a budget for the media, but they will not give you. Sometimes you do a story for NDDC, you go pursue them tired, they know they give you your money. So that's it. So right now, that's what we're looking at. We're trying to get sponsorship, partnerships, and the rest of them, so that we can go down there and bring this thing, and also see how they can be assisted. Imagine a community that has no water and no toilet, and then no maternity, no sick bay, not even a chemist. How is that community going to thrive? No light, no water, no toilets, no sick bay. The four most important things that makes life easy for mankind, a community lacks it. And then we have the Niger Delta Development Commission. What are they doing? They are giving street lights to people who can afford street lights. And the people who need the street lights do not have it. You come to a community that has 10 boreholes, share one still wants to give solar borehole. In a community that has water, a community that has clean water, you still go to that community to give them clean water. Have you done anything? You haven't done much. The reason is because they're not properly informed. These stories are there, but they don't know, they are not seeing it. And another thing is the people who take proposals to them do not give them the real gist. They don't give them the meat of the story. So that's the thing. These other people can go and die. They can just die of hepatitis and the rest of them. It's their business. Let infection kill them. All I need is money to carry 10 girls. All I need is money to travel abroad and go and enter train in China and see what it feels like. Let me just build hotels where people can come in for short term. Because these are the vanities we see. We don't really see what they do with the money that they get. We just see irrelevant vanities. That's what I call them. Their vanities are irrelevant.
I hear you. And that is why I like this current wave of content creators. For example, you see these content creators go to communities and they are capturing what is happening. I remember back in 2023, where I worked at that time, there was the 2023 general elections, and then 2022, we were doing this sensitization against corruption because we wanted to prepare people to not sell their votes, to vote with integrity. And so we went to these marginalized communities and we were encouraging them. We came with visual storytelling, we came with drama, we came with all these things. Like, these are mediums through which you could communicate with whoever wants to come, whoever representative politicians who want to come to campaign for your vote. Communicate with them through this medium. So we created lots of content just targeted at these marginalized communities, telling stories about what's happening, how they lacked all these services that were needed. They lacked water, they lacked electricity, they lacked the healthcare you talked about. They lacked everything. But every single 4 years, every time the election cycle came around, they would keep voting for the same people. They would collect salt and maggi and keep voting for the same people. And so we came with our own content and we said, okay, no, this thing you are doing is affecting you. Why not go this route? Ask for good services and let's see what they will do instead. And I can tell you, I'm telling you, these youth, they went to meet these leaders and they told them, we don't want your salt and maggi anymore. We don't want your rice. We don't want your money. Wetin we want now, water wey clean. Wetin we want now, clinic and school. So there's an animation to Halima's Votes, just highlighting this and I said, like, that this song I just sang is from Halima's Votes. But yeah, so we use this means to tell people, to tell these marginalized communities, and then we push these stories out there to inform people, don't sell your votes, do the right thing. So we need more content creators who can go to these communities and pass these messages across, who can capture what is happening in these communities, who can tell the plight of these people. Because I know that once a video start trending. That's when these media people will pick it up and they will say, see what we are seeing. Because I know I used to watch trending news. I follow TVC in the morning. So they do all these trending
Right.
stories and then your view. So they're always talking about like hot topics and stuff. So these are the things they pick up from social media, right?
I mentioned it here that until the small we go out there, the big media will do nothing. If someone from their circle goes out to get this same thing they are doing now, trending stories, blah blah blah, they won't take it. Now it's fine. They want to talk about it because someone has done something about it and that thing has trended. So they now
Somebody has
talk
done the hard
about
work.
it. Why is it that their stations are not doing these stories? Have you ever done a follow up on those stories? Never. It's bad. The media is not doing well.
It's not doing well. So we need to encourage more of these stories. My sister, she when she's on TikTok, there's this lady she follows who goes to really bad looking areas, and there are several pregnant women there, young girls who are pregnant and they don't have anybody taking care of them. And what this young lady does, she caters to them, provides for them, pay their medical bills and stuff. But without her and some of those people doing such things, we will not know about young girls who are age 12, 13, 14, pregnant and alone. Some of these people sent from their parents' houses because of why you having children out of wedlock. How did you get yourself pregnant? As if she did it by herself. Do you understand? So without people like those content creators, we will not know about these stories. And which is where PS Niche, wait, PS Niche or PS Niche? Because I keep saying PS Niche, PS Niche, which is where
Prudence is niche.
ah, okay, I see. So which is where PsNiche comes in, right? Because without PsNiche visuals, we would not see the stories happening, the key things happening in River State. We will not know about these things happening. So we need more content creators in different states telling us what is happening, especially in the coming elections, right? Because they will come with again with salt and Maggie for you to vote for them. Meanwhile, they will not provide anything for you.
They shared Renew Hope, Salt and Maggie. The women stayed there from morning till evening. I didn't see what they carried. They just carried one small bags. And they will go and give their votes again. And they will suffer again. Even Pastor David Oyedepo was saying it the other day. Are you people not tired? Sometimes we don't even need sensitization again. You just need common sense. At this point, they don't need sensitization again. They need common sense. You can decide that we don't want to vote in this community. The last community I went to, I was asking them, do people vote here? They said yes, and you don't have water to drink. You don't have no toilet. They said yes. So people even die. That sometimes they fall into the salt water. If children fall into salt water and drink the water, the child will just die because there is no sick bay, like I said. So I asked them, do you people vote here? They said yes. What are your representatives? Said no, there's no representative in that community. That the representatives comes from another community because they are Ward 6 of God knows what. So can you people say we don't want to vote? It's possible to say yes. Everybody just come out and say no, we don't want to vote. Because there's no need. Why people voting? If there are no representatives in this community, not even one councillor that can speak for you people, then there's no need. If your youth president cannot go to the local government chairman of your local government and tell him that this is what we want, you don't even know who your House of Assembly representative is. You don't know where your councillor lives. Why are you people voting? At a point, we don't need sensitization. We need common sense.
Why can't one of them even come out to say they want to vote? I think the age for those things starts from like 25 years. So if you're 25 years and above, you can actually decide that, okay, I want to run for this thing. Like I'm putting my cap in, vote for me. Do you understand? Your community doesn't have anybody representing you. You might as well come out and say, I have the backing of my community members. We want to be represented in the coming elections. What stops them from having a voice? So it doesn't make sense at
The
all.
godfatherism from
We are tired of godfathers, please. Can they all go and rest in their bed? They are old. Let them rest.
a situation where reasonable people are supporting godfatherism. Reasonable people are the ones championing the cause that is killing our democracy. Okay, there's a very respectable man in this River State. I lost respect for him last week. Okay, so people are standing up to support godfatherism. They are doffing their caps for godfatherism. The people you've looked up to all these years, you see them come out to say babash. All right. There's a strong man in a community that if you say anything, he just picks you up, locks you up. You just say anything about him, he picks you up and locks you up. And people are saying, why will this ordinary man pick a form? Why will you pick senatorial district, blah, 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 form against XYZ, a whole XYZ? So that's the problem. Because he's a nobody. People are saying, why is he? Why is he? And then somebody said something that stuck with me. He said, if you people were King Saul, David would never have won Goliath. That was what he said. And it just sums it all up for me. Because why will you say, why will you and nobody pick firm against XYZ? XYZ has been in power all these years, and we have not felt it. Apart from violence, there is nothing else we have felt from it. The money he has gotten, he has used to sponsor violence in his community. And someone is standing up to say, I want to do this. And we are saying, we don't want you to do it. How dare you? Who are you? Some people are saying, I just did look at a one head pan of sand. See, there's a community in River State that I want to look at. Right now, they don't have water. They're drinking water turns black the moment you fetch it. Why? Because of gas. No media house has carried that story, but the story is there. The companies have not done anything. The community, they've been shouting. They can't even come out. Imagine you coming out to the upland to buy one bag of pure water. I drink a bag of pure water in 2 days.
What a journey.
And only me. Then imagine a family of 5.
No clean water.
Yes.
To
No clean water because of gas explosion. And they have representatives. So at a point, it just comes to common sense. Let us just stand up and say we don't want to vote. And if we find out that this community, you people say, oh, from so community, we have so vote, we're going to contest it. Because we didn't vote, you did not get anything from here. And when these things start happening, we're going to have a form of clean states. Let me use that word, clean states. Because we're going to purge our electoral system, we'll purge the process, we'll follow it up. I'm going to purge it and get rid of corruption in the system to a certain level. So that's how I want to see it.
You know, when you say no voting, right, I thought about this thing that I heard. When you say you don't want to vote, somehow you voted, but you say you don't want to vote. So let me complete the story I was saying before. In these marginalized communities, I didn't have any of these things. When we came with our stories and our empowerment, don't sell your votes, communicate with your leaders this way. When these people came to those communities to tell them, come and collect salt and maggi, so these youths not only sang that song to them, they told them, this is what we want. We don't have electricity, we don't have water. If you're not doing these things for us, we are not going to vote for you. We'll vote for somebody else. And my dear, surprisingly, these politicians came, they provided boreholes for them, provided transformers for them. These youth were taking videos and sending it to us to give us a recording of what was happening. They said, indeed, we have seen that when you demand for good services, these people will do what is right. And because those people provided those services to them, they said, okay, now you have our vote, we'll definitely vote for you because we've seen that you have done what we asked you to do. And in some of these communities, women who have not voted for a very long time, because the men used to tell them that, give me your voter's card, and I'll vote on your behalf. They didn't allow women to vote in that time. But because of our enlightenment to them, these women said they are going to vote. And for the first time in that community, these women came out to vote and they voted for who they wanted. In another community, the women formed an integrity women's unit. Every single politician that were coming, these women, you would first meet these women before you go and meet any other person. Like they would address you, they would tell you what they need in that community. If you're not ready to provide it, please get out of our community. We are not waiting for you. So this was the enlightenment and empowerment that they had. And because they had seen politicians start to do those things for them, they said, yes, we deserve good things. Now their healthcare is good. Their school politicians have already started building some parts of the classrooms. So now they're just listing things that they want and it's happening for them. And not just in those communities, but other marginalized communities as well. So which is why I'm saying we need to get these stories, what you are doing. More people need to come out doing those things to encourage all these marginalized communities, especially because they're the ones who would face the effects of corruption more, right? They're unstable, they don't have things working for them. Imagine a community that the road is bad and then flood comes. What happens? We went to a community and one young man said how a young girl died in flooding. Why? Because nobody could go into the water to pull her out. Because when you go into the water will pull you away. And
Wow.
so yeah, a young child just died. And then the election will come and somebody will not say, come and vote for me. Come and take 500 there and vote for me. It doesn't make sense. So we need these stories in these communities.
The flood prediction team or organization, what's it called again? These people that tell us, oh, there's going to be flooding from so time to so time. I've forgotten their name. Right now, they have started playing politics with it. Last time they said, oh, there's going to be flooding. It was a wrong prediction. Because in my region, we know when the flood comes. See, the locals know when flood is coming. Now, because they created this body, they now came to say, oh, flooding will come so time so that the government will release money. They gave them the money. What did they do with it? Now, these women went to their farms and uproot their crops because they were afraid that flooding was coming. Flood didn't come till today. Then come back to people dying. People have been dying. Yes. In flood reading areas, people have been dying. Go to the IDP camps during flooding. They will give them one carton of Indomie. There are no data. They don't bring data. They don't give you the data now. But if you as a journalist go there to get the data, your media house will trash it because there is somebody that is paying your media house. He who detects, he who pays the piper detects the tune of it.
I
We
heard
don't
about
have the data. This is where data analyst comes in. I'm also looking at working with data analysts in this little thing that I'm doing. I'm looking at getting them to come and work with me because we need the data of a lot. When it comes to flooding, the data is there. We're going to see how wicked these people are. They release the funding for them, they do nothing with it.
it's terrible. What encouragement do you have for young people in the media, young journalists, right, who are starting up? What advice do you have for them?
If you're coming into the media, you have to come with a mindset. It's a win or lose situation. It's a 50-50 situation. If you're not coming into the media, initially we used to have beats. But now, if you go to health, you will see me there. If you go to politics, you see me there. If you go to environment, you see me there. We have no beats anymore. It wasn't like this from beginning. But the quest to make money in the profession, see, there's money in this profession, it just depends on how you're doing it. If you want to do it with conscience, just know that you're not going to make money. If you want to do the media work the way the media work should be done, you're going to be broke. But if you want to do the media work the way they tell you to do it, make your moves, you make money. But I want to encourage those of them that are coming in not to make their moves. Look for a niche. Look for a niche. Become a professional in that your niche. That is how you make it. Okay, you can do other stories, but make sure you become an authority in a particular niche, a particular beat. It's called a beat. If you want to do politics, make sure you do it very well. Conceptualize, think out of the box. Don't just run around every story. Oh, this politician fought. I don't see those things as stories. Man bites dog is a story. Dog bite man is not a story. Look for man bites dog stories. Have that thing. It's not every media house keeps saying the same thing. It's irritating sometimes. Sometimes I feel like we're not creative enough. Okay, so if you're coming into the industry, be creative. I worked as an editor for Eva Freak in 2019 before I moved to Wish FM. We conceptualize. We don't chase every story till tomorrow. Eva Freak doesn't chase every story. You have to conceptualize, have a scope of work, think outside the box. There are stories around you everywhere. If you want to do politics, political stories abound. Right now, if I say I want to do political stories, I won't even look at what Wike is saying or what Umar is saying. There are political stories around. Community politics, it's the greatest politics anybody can think of. So look for a bit and then conceptualize, think up stories. And if your medium is not going to take it, sell it to other mediums. They will buy. Sell it to bloggers. They will buy.
Okay, thank you so much, Prudence, for giving me your time. I really appreciate what you have said here and all that you have shared. Thank you for the profound work that you're doing through PsNiche Visuals, because those community stories are really what tells us how we are progressing as not just as a community but as a nation. Without these communities, we wouldn't exist as a whole. So we need more stories about our communities, more stories that uplift, more stories that show our development and even the lack thereof so that we can counter and do what is right for the community.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out. I've enjoyed the conversation.
I have to, like, we always have these long going conversation and we just keep entering into different things. Is always rich and quality every single time. Thank you so much for who you are and your interests, what you keep investing yourself in. And you also inspire me, you know that, because one minute I'm chatting with you and you're telling me I'm learning graphic design, I'm in the school for business design, I'm learning this. I'm like, ah, kilo shele.
I was in business school recently. I don't know if I told you that. I just finished business school. It was hectic. It was crazy.
You are learning everything. No, really, I'm super proud of you. Like, you inspire me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Till next time on Brazen Exchange, I'm your host, Vanessa Emadi. Goodbye.